Hey there, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. So excited that you're here. You're going to love this interview with my amazing, amazing friend, Samantha St. Louis. She is an absolute genius and specialist in helping parents become more productive in being a professional, in being a parent, in being in a relationship, and the importance of sleep, not only for your kids, but for yourself. But also for those that have not been a part of the live trainings for the Network Marketing Academy Bootcamp. The doors officially open tonight to allow more people to join. There is a $5 off special. So typically it's $37 a month. If you join in between now and Saturday morning, there's $5 off. It's only $32 a month, no contract. Or you can pay in full for the next 12 months and you get 3 months free. So if you pay in full, you're only paying for 9 of the 12 months. You get 3 months absolutely free. The link to sign up for the Academy is in the description of this episode. So jump on in if you're ready to take your business to the next level, but more importantly, enjoy this amazing interview with my friend Samantha. Networking and marketing made simple is for you, the business owner who has a product, a service, or a message that you believe in. My name is Scott Aaron, and each week we'll take a behind-the-scenes look into the real-world marketing and networking tactics and strategies for getting what you have in front of you to a lot more people. Thanks for spending time with me, and now let's get started. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Networking and Marketing Made Simple. Super excited about today's episode. It's another interview. As you saw in the description of this episode, I have the amazing Sam St. Louis here with me. We actually met in a group coaching program that we are in, and she is literally rocking it out, going from really not knowing what type of business that she wanted to create to then creating the peace of mind parenting program, which is really impacting so many lives, men, women, husband, wives, anyone that's really looking to get back to thriving in their life, where prior they were putting themselves on the back burner. And what we're going to discuss in today's episode, amongst so many things within her program, is the art of self-care, because no matter what you do professionally, the way that you do one thing is the way that you do everything. We hear this all the time. And if you're putting yourself on the back burner as a parent, you're most likely putting yourself on the back burner as a business owner as well. So we're going to dive into all those things, but without any further jabbering by me, Sam, welcome to today's episode.
Thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure, and I'm super excited to be able to have this conversation with you as well as your audience.
Well, they're equally as excited to have you on here as well. So before we dive into everything that you're doing now, everyone sees the glory, but they don't know the story. So why don't you share the story of Sam St. Louis prior to creating this epic program? What, obviously you're a mother of multiple children. There had to have been a catalyst or a reason that kind of drew you to going down this path to creating this program. So take us down that journey. What was it, or what happened that really led you to creating the Peace of Mind parenting program?
Well, I'm actually a registered nurse clinician by training. And so I became a registered nurse very, very young. I graduated when I was 20 years old, and I started working, in the ICU, and I was working 60 to 80-hour weeks. I'm the type of person who always, dives in 100% no matter what it is that I'm doing. And self-care, oftentimes, most of the time, to be honest, took, the back burner to whatever it was that I was working on or trying to achieve. And I always pursued more education, more education, more education. And in the latter years, I started focusing on an area that's called epigenetics. Epigenetics is very related to motherhood and nurturing and children, of how our environmental factors, the health of our mothers, the health of our family impacts how our genes will express in our overall health, our attitudes, our mindsets, and all of these different things. And I actually became pregnant with my first child as I was finishing that final degree. And I decided to do a community project because I was, obviously interested in finding out what type of resources I would have access to, when I gave birth to my child. And I realized there was nothing. There was absolutely nothing. And I gave birth to my first son, and my first son was not an easy baby. My baby had, milk dairy intolerances. He was a horrifying sleeper. He woke up every 45 minutes, throughout the night, nonstop. He had digestive issues. He had colics. It was a really hard first child to have. And so I ended up in the same situation that most parents end up in, where I was duct taping. I was duct taping resources. I was researching Google. I was doing all the reading, getting into all the books, getting advice from family and friends and all of these things. And it always felt like I had 101, answers, but none of them actually worked. And I was overwhelmed. Nothing was clear. Nothing was easy. And so my health crashed down. And so at some point, what happened is my son turned, I think it was 7 months, and I had not slept in 7 months nonstop. And I mean, I was waking up. Sorry, you can hear my kids in the background.
It's
My
it's
son
it's real life, Sam. Keep going. I mean, this is what you teach and this is what you do. So please.
So my son was waking up every 45 minutes, but I pushed through. I did what needed to be done, and I just figured, like everybody else does, this is motherhood. It's full on sacrifice, and to be a good parent, you just have to sacrifice and not complain about it and do what needs to be doing. And then at some point, what happened is I got sick. I got physically extremely ill. I caught a whole bunch of viruses at the same time, and I was floored. I was throwing up nonstop. I couldn't get out of bed. My brain could not function. I had high fever. I was dehydrated. Like everything, turned night and day, and I could not function anymore. And so I had to take a break, and I had to ask my husband to take over the nights for, just 2 or 3 nights to give me a chance to just catch up to everything that was going on. And I had struggled with breastfeeding, and I had been woken up at 3 in the morning crying, on YouTube, trying to figure out why wasn't working. And, is my son getting enough nutrition? Is that's what's causing him not to gain enough weight, and all of these different things. And I was just completely overwhelmed and exhausted. And so I took a step back for a few days, and then I decided, after that, like, this can't keep happening. There's no way that we are going to be a happy, thriving family if this is what parenting is going to look like. There has to be a better way. And I started reaching out and asking, other parents, is this just me, or is this happening, across the board? And I realized that the vast majority of parents were going through very similar struggles, where they felt like they were trying to do everything right, but they were duct taping resources together, and they were just overwhelmed, exhausted, stressed. Their marriage took the side burner. Their career, their businesses was just thrown off the ramp completely. It was not even a consideration. And so even though they wanted to grow their businesses, even though they wanted to thrive inside of their careers, even though they wanted to tackle, that passion project, there was nothing left in them to be able to focus on that. And that is when I decided, there needs to be this one solid place. There needs to be one all-inclusive resource where no matter what you need in your parenting journey, it's in one simple, easy, accessible way, so that we can stop surviving, start thriving, carve out more energy and more time to focus on the things that give us fire and drive.
Well, I can totally relate to that in, also being a parent, but we call it patchwork quilting it, where you're just kind of just putting random pieces of information together. And, just like any other program, people want that one-stop shop of how to learn everything from, getting prepared to have your baby to, the first 12 weeks after they're born. And again, you want to provide resources from that. So you had to experience this yourself. You had to go through the pain and the exhaustion and the extreme tired and the wanting to pull your hair out and like, what do I do? And the why me's. You had to experience all of that to come out better on the other side to say, you know what? I can provide a solution for all of those people, because I know there's so many parents that are listening to this right now, whether they're a husband or a wife, a mother or a father, that is probably relating to a lot of what you stated, whether they've put themselves on the back burner, whether they've put their relationship on the back burner, whether they've put their business on the back burner. So Sam, with everything that you had to go through and grow through to get to where you are right now, and now teaching others how to accomplish the same thing, what would you say is the biggest lesson that you learned from that experience that has helped you to help other people?
So one of the big things for me, and this is something I hear from a lot of parents, is this, societal ingrained cultural thought that when it comes to parenting, it's about, you got to be in the trenches, it's trial and error, and eventually you'll sort of figure it out. But if you're a parent, you know that anytime you finally seem to figure out something, they have grown into a new phase. And then there's this whole other question that comes up, these whole other challenges. And for some reason in our society, we think it's fine and it makes sense to get education, coaching, and consulting on, education to become, I don't know, a nurse or a doctor, what have you. It's fine even to get, coaching, consulting for a hobby. It's fine to get coaching and consulting for your business. It's actually smart to do that, right? Trying to grow a business without any accountability or coaching, not a great idea. When it comes to parenting, one of the things that I learned, and I tell everybody who's, inside of my program or considering joining the program, is parenting is the same way. It doesn't have to be this nonstop trial and error of exhaustion and overwhelm. It can be easier. And that's why we call it the peace of mind parenting program. And if you want to be a happy, thriving parent, you need to be a happy, thriving person as well. So that passion project, that business that you're working on, that career, route that you are in, it is equally as important, because that is what fills, your soul. And if you are thriving, then you'll thrive. If you're thriving as, a man or a woman, you will thrive as a parent as well if you have the proper guidance, information, and support. And so your overall family will thrive. Everything goes hand in hand. You can't thrive in business if you're not thriving at home, and you can't really thrive at home if business is really not going well and it's, overwhelming your mind constantly.
What's an area that you feel with your own experience, but the people that you've now been working with, what's a very common area or issue that keeps surfacing that you feel now, again, with your own experience and who you're working with, has contributed to being the catalyst to creating this overwhelm, or enabling that behavior of putting themselves on the back burner that you have to kind of work backwards from to kind of reframe and rewire how things are done so they can start thriving and stop being exhausted?
I think for parents, one of the biggest mistakes that we make, and it's not our fault, that's how our society is built, that's what we're told. This ingrained thought that when you become a parent, you will never sleep again, and that's just what it is. And for me, and this is something I teach inside of the program, sleep is not a nice to have. It's a basic human need like oxygen, food, and sleep is one of those things, right? You need oxygen, you need food, you need water, you need sleep. Lack of sleep will impact your overall health. It impacts your brain function, your immune system, your gastrointestinal tract. You cannot be a patient, happy person whose mind is thinking and finding solutions to problems if you are not sleeping. I mean, that's a huge subject that you can dive into, of the reason why sleep deprivation has such intense costs on your overall health. And for some reason, a lot of parents are guilted in a certain way into thinking that trying to get better sleep is bad, as though it's somehow sacrificing the wellness of their children. And one of the first things I tell parents that will typically turn that around is, what happens when you're sleep deprived? You generally don't feel good. You'll get nauseous, you'll get headaches, you get brain fuzz, you'll get irritable. You might get, full body aches and pains. What do you think happens when your kid is also sleep deprived? They get headaches, they get gastrointestinal, pains, they get impatient, they get that overall body ache and pain. But the difference is they have no idea what's going on and why they feel that way, so they can't rationalize it. So it's even more destabilizing and scary for them than it is for you. So when you are doing what's necessary to get the proper sleep for yourself, you are also doing what's necessary for your child to get the proper sleep they need to develop healthily. So you're not sacrificing your child. You're finally putting your child and yourself at the same time as a top priority.
That's so good, because there's so many people that are probably just nodding their heads in their cars or wherever they're listening to this, because it's the truth. This, you know, the one commonality that you hear, not just from new parents, but from new business owners, is, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
They work on their business for 16 or 17 hours a day, sleep for a couple hours, wake up and grind it out again the next day. And think about new parents, the same thing. They're sleeping 2 or 3 hours. But again, everything kind of trickles down from you. It's a top-down methodology. So if you're at the top of this and you're exhausted, you're sleep deprived, you have brain fog, you have low energy, all those things, it's going to be passed down not only to your family but to your business. If that's why, what people don't realize, being a parent is just as similar as being a business owner, except the business you have is your baby, and
Mm-hmm.
you have to raise it, you have to nurture it, you have to feed it, you have to make sure that it gets plenty of sleep. And you know I'm an absolutely 100% a recovering people pleaser, but also I'm a recovering workaholic. I was a personal trainer and sports nutritionist in my prior life, and I was working 70 to 80 hours every 6.5 days. So you want to talk about not having a life, being exhausted, running on fumes all the time. That was me. And my wife and I, we've put strict boundaries around our time now. We don't start work until 10 a.m. We don't do work after 6 p.m. We have dinner every night together. I don't work on Wednesdays or Fridays anymore. I only work 3 days a week. So, and all of these things are attributing to my continued positive health, not just as a parent, but as a husband, as a father, and as a business owner. So Sam, for the person that's listening to this that completely resonates with how they've put themselves on the back burner, without going through your program, and someone, you're having coffee with a girlfriend and they're just saying, Sam, I need to know, where do I start? How do I start thriving? How do I get things back on track? What is the simple piece of advice you offer to people that just want to start turning the wheel in the other direction?
There's always a fire. Anybody who enters our program, it's always sort of similar, right? They enter because they're surviving barely, or if even, they're overwhelmed. They may have stress, anxiety, their business is falling apart, their marriage is falling apart, whatever it is. There's an overwhelming theme, and that's the fire. And you need to identify what the fire is in front of you to extinguish it, to be able to see clearly in front of you. So is it lack of sleep? Are you like severely sleep deprived? Then that's your fire. For some people, it's, you're eating like crap, and your digestive tract, your body, your energy levels are just, you're getting good sleep, but your body is just failing you. Then that's your fire. If what you have going on is that your business, there's so many things that you have to do that you don't even know where to throw head, that's your fire. It's chaos. That's the main thing preoccupying you. You need to identify what the fire is and tackle that and get the right support and guidance to tackle it first. And then everything after that is going to become much simpler, and you'll be able to tackle those things one at a time. But you need to get the fire out of the way before you can move on to anything else.
I love that because it made me actually think about, the reason why Nancy and I came into the group coaching program that we're in together. Our fire was uh, systematic processes. We had the businesses, we had things going in the right direction, but we were lacking systems and tools.
Mm-hmm.
And when you identify the fire, then you can put it out, because once the fire is put out, now, the smoke is cleared. The path is now in front of you where you can actually start taking those positive steps in the right direction. If you're constantly standing in the fire of what is holding you back and you don't own it, you don't face it, you don't even attempt to try to put it out, how do you ever plan on taking those steps forward? So I love that analogy of acknowledging your fire. And I want all the listeners to really think about that right now. As Sam said that, what is your fire? What is that thing that's standing in your way of succeeding? Is it your lack of confidence? Is it your constantly feeling overwhelmed? Is it putting yourself on the back burner? Is it your lack of knowledge? Is it accountability? What is that fire? Because once the fire not only is acknowledged, but most importantly addressed, then there can be a plan of action in place to start moving forward. So let's talk about the moving forward. So, you work with a lot of people in this capacity. They understand and acknowledge the fire, their own personal fire that is sitting right
Yeah.
in front of them. How does one begin to put out that fire in order to be able to allow that smoke to clear so they can move forward?
So the first thing we do when somebody enters the program is we'll identify really, what that fire is. And usually we'll have a few trickle goals that we know might be behind that fire, but we sort of put them a little bit on the standstill. In order to tackle a fire, let's say sleep for, your kids aren't sleeping, you're not sleeping. That's a common example, is understanding why this is happening. Why are your kids not sleeping? Why are you not sleeping? What is the cause of it? Understanding, the sleep physiology, understanding the negative impacts, and understanding why you must turn off the fire. So understanding the cause, understanding why you must turn it off. And then what we do is, the one size fits all approach when it comes to fires doesn't work. It just doesn't work. When there's a fire in place, if you smell the smoke, a one size fits all approach might, save you from getting to the fire. Once you're in it, that doesn't work anymore. So you need that customized guidance, support, and accountability to get yourself out of there. You need to call the firefighters at this point. A little glass of water is not going to do it. You need the firefighters. And so that is what we'll typically do. We put a plan, we do a full evaluation, we, put a plan in place to tackle, whatever it is that's going on. Are they overwhelmed with everything that they have to do at home, that they just don't have time for business anymore? Is their marriage falling apart? Is it that they're not sleeping at all? Is their overall health just dwindling down? And then we set a plan in motion that is customized to them with the right accountability, the understanding of what's going on, the impacts and all of these things. And we get that sort of sorted out of the way. So anytime you're trying to tackle something that's turned into a fire, it's bigger than you at this point. And so you will not be able to do it alone. That's the main thing. You're just not going to be able to do it alone. So whether your fire is in your business or it's in your personal life, as a parent or just, as a man or a woman, if it's turned into a fire, you need to call expert help at this point, because you're just not going to get yourself out of there.
I love that. So what would you say at this point, where with the journey that you're on now, with the successful business that you're running, what's the best piece of advice that was given to you that someone in the similar situation that you were in, they are in right now, you would give to them?
In terms of business, for me, one of the biggest steps was when I actually joined the coaching program that we are in together. I wasn't your typical business owner who had invested in a whole bunch of courses and programs that had failed before. I hadn't been down that route. I had not invested in any coaching courses or any of those things. I always sort of I'm a self-starter, right? So I tried to figure everything out by myself. And so that was a huge leap for me. And it changed my mindset completely in accepting that I cannot be a master of all things. My area of expertise is, your parenting journey. That is what I rock at. That is what I can help you with, no matter what it is, no matter what's happening in your health and your parenting journey, I've got you. I am not a business, professional. I am not a I can get you started, on a startup business. I'm really good at that. I can get you to six figures. That's fine. If you want to go beyond six figures, forget it. I'm not your expert, level professional here. And so for me, that biggest lesson was I really wish that I had had the emotional maturity and understanding, a few years ago, that I could have saved myself so much time, so much energy, so much overwhelm, had I gotten the right coaching from the start. I had a very negative view of business coaching, to be honest, because I had heard all of the horrifying stories, and getting the right coaching from the right place just made things so much easier for me. So I think that whether you're considering, business coaching, personal health coaching, I didn't have any coaches, and now I'm in two business coaching programs. No, actually, I'm in three business coaching programs. I have my staff in a coaching program of their own. I have a nutritionist coach for myself and for my family and for my children. And so now we're coached, all around. Now we wouldn't go without it, at all. But it took me too long to figure that out. And I could have been where I am today 3 years ago, 4 years ago, had I been able, if I could go back in time and tell myself something, this is what I tell myself. You got to
You know,
invest in yourself.
and it's not taking shortcuts, it's shortening the learning curve. And that's why, Nancy and I do what we do, but also we don't go a year now without being in a mastermind or a group coaching program, because it's incrementally increased our business's revenue each of the last 3 years. And it's because of, again, like you mentioned, I don't want to have to figure it out. I want to pay someone who has figured it out so I can leap forward faster, because no matter how much the investment is upfront, if you do that ROI will be through the roof. And both you and I can both attest to that it already has paid back X amount of times over already. Now, before I get to my final question, we've talked a lot about the Peace of Mind Parenting Program. Tell the audience a little bit more about it, how it's structured, but more importantly, how they can find out about it, where they can go, and how to connect with you online or offline.
So the Peace of Mind Parenting Program is what we call an all-inclusive parent incubator program. So we have put together any and all resources that parents might need in their journey in parenthood, in particular in those first, few years. We often hear parents say, "Oh, I don't remember the first 5 years of my kid's life. I was just so overwhelmed, so tired, I don't remember it." Those first few years of your kid's life are crucial. They're beautiful. They're amazing. You do not want to not remember them. It's very sad to not remember them. And you don't want to end up 5 years later, just your marriage is crumbling, your health is crumbling, your business is like on the floor. You don't want to do that. So what we've done is we put all of the resources together. So what we offer is, the way we see it is when you're building a happy family, it's kind of like building a house. You need really solid foundations. So we have foundations for overall health of children, and then we have foundations for parents. That's making sure that, your chores, your responsibilities, your duties, whatever at home are streamlined and easy, so that, your evenings and weekends are not spent just, trying to do all the things. You need to be able to carve out time for your business, for your family, for your self-care, for all of these different things. The walls are sleep. I don't care how awesome everything is. If you're not sleeping, nothing's going to work. You are not going to get good business ideas or make good business decisions or health decisions if you're not sleeping. You're going to make horrifying decisions. Then the inside of your home is your overall physical, emotional, mental health. So we cover development for kids. If your kids are sick, we've got you. We cover your nutrition, your fitness, even your financial health. So we have physicians on board. We have psychologists on board. We have a pharmacist on board. We have nutritionists on board. I'm a registered nurse clinician as well. We have speech language therapists. We have all kinds of people that are there to assist you. And then the roof is your marriage. Because I don't care how beautiful your furniture is, if you are in a relationship, for that matter, if your roof is leaky, the storm's going to come, everything's going to get wet, everything is ruined, right? It's not worth it. So as people come into our program, we address their fire. So it's one-on-one consultations, customized plans. There's no one size fits all for whatever your needs are, unlimited support 9 to 5, multiple sessions of education multiple times a week, and a huge library of everything you might possibly need in this parenting journey. So it's really this one-stop shop, this final solution that no matter it is, what it is that you need to put out as a fire and improve in your personal parenting journey, we've got you covered for that, so that then you can carve out time, energy to focus on, where your drive is, whether that be your business, your passion project, your career, whatever. Everybody needs to have an outside fire that fills their soul.
And how can people find out more about that, and how can they connect with you?
So you can find our website. It's called BeBaby.ca. We have a chat box on there if you want to talk with any one of our advisors to learn more. But also, I will give you the link to our Peace of Mind Parenting Seminar. That is a free 5-day seminar that is beginning on August 16th. And this particular seminar is addressed to parents who are not getting the sleep that they need and want to figure out why and how to resolve it. So we go over sleep physiology, routine schedules, sleep regressions, when sleep isn't just an issue of sleep, and then actually putting a plan in place to resolve it. So that begins on August 16th. I'll give you the link for that. It's the Peace of Mind Parenting Seminar. So it covers, a small portion of what our program actually is. But that is typically the fire, that gets people through our doors at first. So that's why we focus on there, even though we have other areas of expertise.
Amazing. And everything that was just mentioned, everyone, will be in the description of this episode. You're not going to have to go too far. Just go to the description of this episode, and all the information that Sam mentioned on everything that she talked about will be there. So Sam, final question before we sign off today. What does success truly mean to you?
Success for me it's not a particular number. It's more, what's important to me. So for example, for me as a parent, as a mother, when I had my first child, I had the full intention of having one kid, going back to my career, and that was it. Then I had my baby, things changed, right? My goals and aspiration changed. And for me, my personal success was being able to be a present, purposeful parent, but also have that business to help people, that drive, that's something that was giving me fire every day, having a healthy relationship, having a healthy overall life, but also having that financial freedom and that work freedom to be able to do what we wanted to do in terms of our life, and be able to change directions often. That was, my description of success. So I think that your description of success has to be, if you close your eyes and you think about your ideal perfect life, not in terms of numbers in particular, but like, what does it look like in terms of financial freedom, time freedom, relationships, overall health, etc. What, like in a crazy world, without limiting yourself, would it look like? That's going to be your idea of success.
Yeah, it's passion, purpose, and to profit, and that's what it's all about, because the money is just a side effect of the impact that people feel by what you do. So Sam, thank you again so much for coming on today. Loved all the information that you shared. I know so many people that listen to this are going to take so much away, and I encourage all of those that are listening to go to her free workshop and seminar that's coming up in the middle of August, whenever you're due listening to this. But just follow her. If you're struggling in any of those areas, whether it's personal, business, family, relationship, you can put out those fires. You don't have to live with them. So Sam, thank you again so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. So everyone, as I mentioned, the description of this episode will house all the information and things that Sam spoke about. So definitely check it out. And I hope everyone enjoyed this episode. Please enjoy the rest of your days, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much again for checking out today's episode. And if you are listening through iTunes, Spotify, wherever you are, please leave me a rating and review. Let me know what you loved, what you would like to see improved, or ideas you have for future episodes. And if you are interested in taking your business to the next level, don't hesitate to go to my website, www.scottaaron.net, where you can schedule a free discovery call with me, where I can learn more about you, your business, what you're struggling with, and how we can work together. And don't forget to check out my wife, Nancy, and mine, our free community on Facebook called LinkedIn Leads for Life. We would love to see you in there. Have a great rest of your day. And thank you, everyone, for your support. Grateful for each and every one of you.